This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have a Duet dryer where the blower wheel is making a bunch of noise, so we're going to be replacing the blower wheel. We have to remove this bottom panel, and usually there's two little quarter-inch screws at the bottom. Some of the models have three. You remove those screws and then you pull out on the panel at the bottom, and then you can just pull that panel out of the way. And we want to get rid of this cowling here that holds the filter, and there's three little gold quarter-inch screws that hold it on, two at the top and then one here on the left. So we're going to get those out, we're going to remove the filter and pull that cowling out, and that's going to give us a little bit of room to work. You can do a full disassembly to do this procedure, or this is a little bit of a shortcut where you take out the cowling only in the front panel, and then you're going to grab the back of the motor pulley that hooks up to this blower wheel. You can also see that on this blower wheel we chipped away some of the front of the plastic so that we could get the vice grips in and grab it, get a better purchase. Usually you remove the blower wheel by putting a 1/2-inch drive in and then turning it to your right. It's kind of like opposite threads, but oftentimes it won't let go, so you have to chip away some of the plastic. And then you can put your vice grips on the motor pulley behind and lock them in. You can reach in on either side with your right and your left hand and use your right hand to lock in the pliers and adjust them, and your left hand to kind of place the vice grips over the motor pulley. And once you lock it down, that's going to hold the motor shaft still, and then you can grab the blower housing and you can rotate it to your right. Again, it's kind of weird, righty loosey instead of righty tighty, because it's opposite threads. These are often really hard to get off, so many times you end up having to just destroy the blower wheel itself so that you can get the nut, the metal nut that is on the shaft off. You can grab the nut with your vice grips or with another tool. So I chipped away the whole blower wheel, and there's a little nut. I've already loosened it with the vice grips. I'm just going to spin it off. Again, turning it to your right. And we got that off. We still have the vice grips on the motor shaft holding it steady so we can put the new blower wheel on. The blower wheel goes on to the left. That's how you tighten it. So opposite threads. There's the model number for the blower wheel for the Duet. They're pretty cheap. And again, usually this whole procedure is done with a 1/2-inch drive. You can see the 1/2-inch drive hole there, but hardly ever are you able to take these off. They usually just end up distorting, and then it strips and you can't get them off. So I usually just use standard head screwdriver to break away some of the plastic so I can just grab onto the nut itself. But this is kind of a fun procedure because the vice grips are holding the motor shaft, and you don't have to take the whole dryer apart. It speeds up the whole thing. There we go. I'll take the vice grips off the back. You can remove the dryer belt if you'd like, but you don't really need to. You can actually grab onto the motor pulley while the belt's still on if you want. I did remove the belt in this case, so I'm just putting it back on. This is all done kind of blindly. You're not able to see it. Just get the vice grips off, just making sure it's on there pretty tight. You don't, when you spin it to the left to tighten it, you don't have to get it crazy tight. You can just push it with your fingers is enough. And it seems to self-tighten over time. So I'm going to put the belt back on. So my advice to you would be to try the 1/2-inch drive first to see if you can use that to loosen up the blower wheel, but be prepared to just chip away the plastic. So now we're just testing it before we put the cowling back on. It spins fine, and the blower wheel is not making racket anymore, and we have good ignition at the igniter, so the heating system is working. Yeah, that's great. We got it. So we're just going to do a reassembly. Put the cowling back on first. It kind of fits up inside first, and then you push in the bottom part, and then you're going to add those 3/4-inch screws. So in the upper right and upper left hand corner, and then one to the left. And then we'll just remember to put the filter back in, and we'll put the lower panel back on, and you're all done. It's interesting, on this one I actually used some penetrating compound on the nut itself the day before to see if I could get it loose. It isn't really a matter of corrosion that holds the nut on. It has to do somehow with torque, because that things just get really locked on tight. Even though when they're not installed very tight, they just self-tighten somehow. So putting the filter back in. So probably good to be prepared to just chip away the plastic and be able to grab the metal nut itself. We're going to put the lower panel back on, put the 2/4-inch screws back in. The way you know your blower wheel is having trouble is you hear a rumbling sound, and then when you open the door, the dryer stops, but you still hear a rumbling, and that's the blower wheel still spinning. So I hope this helped you, and thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thank you.